great-grandchildren. You can just call me Grandma Eve. I do have a story for you, but let me lay out these walnuts before they get too damp. Adam just loves this kind. Oh, what scamp did that? Oh, my kids. Whatever. I'll get to the story. We'll do the walnuts later. Very beginning. The very beginning. I opened my eyes. The very first thing I knew was love. Love pouring out from the Father to me. I couldn't feel more loved. It was amazing. And the second thing is I heard him speak, and his voice was so beautiful. I couldn't imagine anything even being better than this. And he told me that my body had been from a rib of Adam, and that I was to have another helpmate. He was to be my help, I was to be his help. We were to help each other. And it was just so amazing. And we were going to be co-rulers in this beautiful place. I looked around, because all I could see at first was his face, the Creator, my Father. And I started looking around, and I saw some beautiful flowers and some plants, and then God led me to Adam. He was kind of groggy, just waking up from his minor surgery. And the first thing he did is he rubbed his eyes. Apparently he didn't have a big vocabulary, because all I could think of to say was, "Whoa, man." Well, that's what he called me, woman. And then I learned later he did have a big vocabulary. He was just awestruck. And he taught me the names of the snake and that flower and that monkey and that. Oh, it was so amazing. He knew so much. And we worked together. And just as the Creator God had planned, we were united as one. And it just kept getting better and better and better. I couldn't believe it. We went to this tree. It was so beautiful. It was called the Tree of Life. And Adam said we could eat from its silver gold fruit anytime we wanted, and it would perpetuate our lives. We would live forever in this beautiful garden, in this beautiful place with the Creator God. Oh, wow. That was amazing. And you know, God gave us a marriage. That was his first gift to us. And a marriage is made to reflect God's character, the unity of the Trinity. And it did, and it does, until it doesn't. Well, we were happy, and we kept getting better, and the tree of life was so beautiful, but there was another tree. Maybe some of you know the name of it. The tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now, I've trained my children that the knowledge of good is always a blessing, but the knowledge of evil hurts. But I didn't know that. I told my children just the other day that you shouldn't know what evil is, but because of us you do. And the knowledge of the tree of good and evil was put there as a test. Now maybe some of your parents and grandparents have given you a test of something that was just a rule that you knew was wrong. And I'm getting ahead of myself. So the tree of knowledge of good and evil was there, and we were not to eat from it. And so I said, look at all these other beautiful, amazing options. Why would I even want that tree over there? And so we went to the tree of life and ate from it. And God said tonight was something extra special. It was going to be the first Sabbath. We're like, yes! What's that? And so it took us a little bit to try and figure out what the Sabbath was, but he explained it's a day of rest. And we're like, what's that? And so God explained the Sabbath is a day set apart from the rest. A day that you don't do your normal labors and you spend in nature, contemplating me, learning about me with me. What could be better than that? Oh, joy, I didn't even want to go to sleep that night. Maybe some of you guys have trouble sleeping. I know, it was so exciting. We watched the sunset together and Sabbath began. Oh, it was so special. The Creator told us about the creation. He said the first day, this world that you see here did not look like this. You couldn't even see it. It was void and empty, and I tried my best to imagine nothing. Have you ever tried to imagine nothing? Just pause here for a moment. You got it? What does nothing look like? Well, no, you can't have nothing look like something because then it would be something. Let's see. What does it sound like? Well, if it sounded like something, then it would be something. Oh, I just couldn't figure out how to imagine nothing. And then God said the first day, he created light. Now, I don't know how. He explained it, but I didn't understand it. Some fancy formulas that he threw together, and boom, there was light. And the second day was even better. So God does everything in order. If the second day he had created man, we would have had nowhere to stand. So the second day, if he had created man, we would have had nothing to breathe. So the second day he created the air and separated from the waters, so that the earth wasn't just water. It was air above and water below. And then the third day, this was where it got cool. He made dirt appear out of nowhere, poof, out of the water. There was dirt here and dirt there and flowers there and plants there and trees there and bushes there. All the beauty you see, just boom. And Adam's eyes got wide. Said, all in one day? Oh, wow. God is so amazing. So that was day 3. And the 4th day, you guys know what happened on the 4th day? God made the sun and the moon and the stars galore so that we could have the daytime and the nighttime with light, and it wouldn't ever be completely dark. And then day 5, he started filling the earth with living creatures that moved. There were the fish in the seas and the birds of the air. Oh, the birds were singing so beautifully at sunset. I couldn't even hear the rest of the story. Just, you were made on the 5th day. It's a good thing they weren't made on the 1st day. Otherwise, they would have had nowhere to fly. And then the 6th day, that was when he made all of the other animals on the land. And he explained how he made Adam from the dust. He didn't speak him into being like he'd done everything else. God himself got down on the ground and formed the dust, and he created him. And then Adam woke up, and God talked with him, and he showed him the garden and everything. And after 52 pregnancies this last decade, okay, never mind, I can't count. It's just hard to get up at my age. I'm almost 600 years old. So, where was I? Oh, God showed Adam everything. And then Adam noticed that every animal had a helper. But he did not. And so God created this helper, me. And we together form a unity. God created me out of Adam's rib so that I would be next to him, protected by him under his arm. He didn't create me from a foot bone to be squashed underfoot or a head bone to push him down, but together we co-ruled this earth and we worked together. And that was the best day ever. That Sabbath and we sang with the birds to welcome in the Sabbath. And the next morning, can you imagine that as a bedtime story? God telling you about how he created the world? It was so hard to go to sleep. And then we woke up the next morning and we sang with the angels, holy, 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 holy. I should have never given into temptation. We could still be there today. But one day, Adam was collecting something, and I went to look for something else that didn't matter, and they were separated. Did you know together you stand a better chance against the adversary? The enemy cannot get you when you're united. But when you separate yourself, it's much easier to yield to temptation. And I guess I can use what my little scamp threw in my bag. I went over and I saw the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Well, my first mistake was looking. My second mistake was not looking away. I should have just said no. God said no, that's not okay. But I started wondering, why did God say no? What? Do you ever wonder why something's not good for you? Maybe you don't understand what the rules mean or why they're put in place. But you say, no, I need to know why. And so I thought there. And the snake. Did you know snakes used to be the most beautiful creatures? They had wings and they could fly, and they were just the most beautiful creatures. Well, besides me, Adam told me I was the most beautiful woman on earth. Well, I was the only woman on earth, but I'll take the compliment. But the snake was so beautiful, and he spoke to me. None of the other animals had ever spoken to me except for the occasional parrot, but they didn't have a lot to say. And this snake read my mind. I didn't know it was the adversary speaking through the snake. And he said, did God tell you you couldn't eat from any tree of the garden? And that's how he gets you. He gives you a partial truth. So you say, well, let me fix that. And he comes and he tries to pull you away from focusing on the truth, to focus on this partial truth and correct it, and to argue. And I said, no, you're wrong. He said this tree we couldn't eat or touch. But we can't get close to it. Yeah, and so I corrected him and I started talking with him. And I should have known snakes don't talk. I should have seen. If Adam and I had been joined together in unity, we could have recognized the danger. And so he convinced me that this tree was making him able to talk and making him wise. And if I wanted to be wise, I should be like him. Now, where should my eyes have been focused? On God. Why is it so easy to believe that something created can be more satisfying, more important than the Creator? Have any of you ever thought that? That something that was created was more satisfying or more important than the Creator? I'm sure you guys haven't, but I did. And I questioned God. I said, I want to be like God. I want to know good and evil. And so I took the fruit and I ate it. It was a beautiful fruit and it did taste delicious, but it wasn't worth it. And after I ate it, I thought, this is making me wiser. I'll go help Adam. And I gave some to Adam and he said, what did you do? And I explained that I was wiser and better, and he ate some too. He chose to join me in disobedience. He put something created, me, above the Creator, God. I became his idol. It breaks my heart to tell you that immediately we felt cold. Yes, temperature-wise, because the light had left us and we were no longer warmed by it, but our our relationship was severed. I saw in him a look I had never experienced before. Disappointment, disgust, and hate. How terrible that felt. How ugly it was. And I knew that we had done wrong, and we started to argue. We had never done that before. The flower that I had in my hand, it was wilting. It was dying. Is that what's going to happen to us? We'll turn ugly and die? Why did you eat the fruit? Oh, Eve, why did you? Oh, we were arguing. We knew we had done wrong. We should have known that if we had run to God, he would have been faithful and just to forgive us. Maybe we still would have suffered the consequences, but instead, when God called, we tried to hide. Now, how many of you guys think it's possible to hide from God? He knows everything, and we knew that. So why did we run and try and hide from him? I don't know. Oh, before that, I told you we were cold. So we found these big, giant leaves, and we sewed them together to cover our nakedness. We didn't know leaves die. We thought they would keep us covered, but they started to disintegrate and wilt, and that wasn't working. And so we were hiding from God, and God gave us another chance to confess our sins. Adam, where art thou? Adam answered, I'm here. We were hiding because we were naked. And God said, who told you you were naked? There's another chance God was giving us to confess. But instead, Satan tempted us in our hearts to say something else. And Adam blamed God. He said, the woman that you made, she ate from the fruit, and she gave it to me. God's fault for making me, tempting him? That was so wrong. And I knew it. And I said, it wasn't me, it was the snake. Something else that God had made. It was the snake's fault for tempting me, and I ate it. Well, by then the adversary was not in the snake, and the snake had no voice of his own, so God cast the snake to the ground, and he chose to give me a reminder of the pain that we had caused. And every time I have a child, it hurts. But fortunately, at the end, there's a blessing. But the pain, the physical pain, wasn't as bad as the emotional pain. God showed us how to sacrifice a lamb, to look forward to the plan of redemption, that he would send his son for us to cover our sin so that once again we could be restored to living with him. Oh, I long for that day. The very first baby that came, I looked at him and he was perfect all over. And I named him Cain. And he was such a sweet baby. And he grew up with his brother Abel. And you could not have two babies more complete opposite. Cain was always arguing and always obstinate. I'd had so much hope for him, but it turns out he was not the role model the other siblings needed. He let the adversary speak into his heart. Maybe some of you have children who have gone astray. Even God, the perfect parent, had children who went astray. It's not always the parent's fault. I wondered where I went wrong, but I knew that Cain made his own decisions, and I could hardly breathe. My first son was a murderer. How could this happen? because of our Redeemer, we know that we have a second chance. Satan will be defeated through Seth's line. We have a God of redeeming grace. Is there something keeping you from God today? Is there something in your heart that you're putting more important than the Creator? Is there something distracting you? Is there something keeping you from God? Our Heavenly Father wants to be with you. He wants to restore you. What's holding you back? I have been redeemed. I know that the Son of God, the Lamb's blood, will cover me. And I know you know that too. I have shared this with you as my testimony because I know I have a Redeemer and I've been redeemed. And I know that you guys will all be with me in paradise. Let's sing together. I have been redeemed. Redeemed by who? By the blood of the Lamb. Now I know there's a chorister out there that wants to come up. Don't be afraid. I'll step aside. Make sure baby's not dry, not wet.